Hello YouTube and welcome to another update video. I have received the epoxy that I'm going to use to put the floor in the X2, but in this video you guys are just going to see a little bit of prep work that I've done preparing the cloth and mat for the floor of the X2. I've changed how I'm going to do the layup a little bit, so some of you guys who are interested in the fiberglass work might want to see that. I did an unboxing of some of the materials that I got for doing infusion and some other stuff, as well as for finishing on the X2. I also got some parts from ADA. I did some more work on the bed plate mold, and I got another vacuum pump, which I had issues with. Anyway, let's just get into this video. I got my new pump. Let's find out if it's destroyed as well. It's all rattling around inside the box. So, probably. This box seems to be in worse shape than the original one, and it doesn't have any. It's just a plain box. Probably means somebody else sent it back. Oh, it's upside down. Well, that label's upside down, and so is the original Chinese one. It's probably less likely to get damaged if it's upside down, though. Oh yeah, it clearly says here. Those arrows go up that way. Yep, it's double boxed. Triple boxed, yeah. That's good news because I can use this box to set it back. Yo. Oh yeah, it's upside down. It's upside down. Uh-oh. It fell in. Okay, so even though triple box and upside down, maybe
this box was opened.
Yeah. So the original box was open. This is upside down.
Oil didn't spill.
The handle's not bent. Let's see, is the bottom mount bent?
Styrofoam in here is broken.
Yeah. There's some oil on it. Alright, I'm going to reach through the hole on the fan. Oh, the fan shroud is dented in a little bit. Reach in through this hole and see if the fan turns. The fan does not turn, it's stuck, which is exactly what happened with the other one. Alright YouTube, I'm out in the garage and this is the old pump. It was damaged and seized when I got it. There was damage to the fan and you couldn't turn the pump over by hand. I freed it up and it worked for a few minutes before it stopped creating any vacuum whatsoever. This is the new pump. It seems to have the same issue. It wasn't damaged apparently in shipping, but it was shipped upside down and the box had already been opened. When I tried to pull it out of the packaging, it fell out of the box upside down. So I'm going to pull the fan cover off and try gently turning it over by hand and then run it for a while and see if this one lasts any more than a few minutes. I've also got a bunch of supplies from a Canadian supplier of yeah, this is the epoxy that I'm going to use to do the floor of my jet ski. All right, let's remove this cover. Model 2RS-3, 8CFM when it works. Ultimate vacuum, 3 × 10⁻⁻1 pascals. 1 horsepower. 370 milliliters of oil capacity. All right, I have removed this and it is definitely stuck. Like, what the heck, people? gently turn it. Oh, it's taking quite a bit of force to break free. What do I do? Do I just send this one back right away and order another one? Oh yeah, this one's worse than the other one. Yeah, it just broke. It just broke the fan free. The fan is now turning, but the shaft isn't. What I think is happening here, people are probably buying these, running them without oil, seizing them up, and then they're simply sending them back, and then they're not doing anything to it. They're just repackaging them, sending them out, and then chumps like me get them. I turned it over a little bit by hand with the fan before the fan started slipping, and it had a definite seized piston feel to it. Yeah, that's not good. I wonder if they're not seizing from like salt in the air or something, if they ship them. No, because they run them with some oil. Before I open the package, I will say that they offer different shipping rates, and it's a lot cheaper to ship it with the stuff folded up. So I opted for that, and it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Oh yeah, I ordered a vacuum hose. I forgot I ordered a vacuum hose, and then I went and bought one. All right, so I got a vacuum hose. This one has swivel ends. I wonder if it will seal, because the one that I got has swivel ends and it doesn't seal. I've got a bunch of paint brushes. I've got some 1/4-inch infusion line, which looks like stuff that I already have. And then I got more tacky tape, I guess. Man, I have a bad memory. Basically, I wanted to try this company out because it's Canadian. I don't have to pay duty on this stuff. So yeah, here's the tacky tape. Well, it got a little smushed up. Not ideal. Hopefully that's usable. I also got glass bubbles. So this is filler to make fairing compound for finishing the outside of the X2. And then I got infusion mesh, which again is folded up because I requested it to be. Normally they ship it rolled up, but it's more expensive. It's my vacuum infusion mesh. And then this is the hardener for the epoxy, I assume. And this is the resin. And that's everything that I got. Oh man, somebody dropped that hard. You can see the sealing material around the bottom seam. Oh, it's squeezed out. This can is almost burst. Purelator. It kind of doesn't matter which company you use. It's just, if you get the right dickhead driver who doesn't give a shit about his job. All right, YouTube, I talked a little bit about the bed plate and how I was adding flanges or the bed plate mold, but I didn't really give you guys any detail. What I had done is I put a piece of plastic on the back side just to give it some shape, and then I covered that in some epoxy, some colored epoxy. And then I peeled the plastic off, and now what I've done just yesterday is I applied some fiberglass to the back side. So now I've basically extended the mold out with fiberglass. The center, probably if I was gonna say if I use some acid, but probably if I just pour some water in here and get this all soggy or soak it in water, then I can very easily scrape the cardboard out, which will give me access to the back side of the gel coat or the epoxy, And then I can put a couple of layers of fiberglass in here just to reinforce it. I still need to add the flange on this side all the way around both of these and sanded these flat. I decided that I'm gonna leave these flat because it's, for one, I might end up leaving these holes in the bed plate or leaving this material in the bed plate just to add extra rigidity, and then just drill a hole in the bottom to let the water drain out. Also, I found this little air pocket in the gel coat from before, and so I'm going to repair that. I did get the epoxy to do the floor, and now I'm doing all the tedious work of making sure that all this stuff is going to fit in properly. So I did cut the glass out to the basic shape and size. So what I'm doing now is doing all the relief cuts. So I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but so there's a slit here and then another one there and another one there. If I didn't put them in there, when I tried to push this down into the corner, it would fold like that. So these pieces have to be cut and very carefully placed so that I don't have a bunch of air pockets underneath. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through and I'm fitting all the pieces in, and when I pull them out, I'm actually going to number them so that when I'm putting this all together with the resin, I don't have to do a whole lot of head scratching, because in the heat of the moment when I'm trying to get everything together, I'll probably screw something up if I don't do that. So I'm gonna have to do some last minute trimming as I put the stuff in, because this stuff is fairly rigid. It doesn't like to take shape or conform very well until you get it wet out. So as I'm wetting it out, I will have to trim the sides up a little bit here, but I don't want to trim them down too much, because as it sits into the valleys and little crevices, those are going to get pulled down on the side just a little bit. So I want to leave them long and trim them off. What I'm doing now, I'm going to make a single panel, partly to tie everything all together and partly just to make it look nicer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a piece of chop strand, the same stuff as this, and I'm going to run it all the way from here along the bond line and back to this seam and down and across. I believe I have the last panels cut out for this one job anyway. So I've got that panel, and then I've got another one on this side. Both cut out the same. I'm going to now take them out and number them all. It's going to look a little bit silly having numbers over it, but I plan on painting the inside of the ski, so that shouldn't show up. All of the fiberglass is back out of the hull, and I've scuffed it down with sandpaper, wiped it down with alcohol, let that dry, and then wiped it all down with acetone. I'm going to wipe it all down with acetone again before I apply the fiberglass, because it's going to sit for a few days likely. I just wanted to turn the camera on and show you guys. If you look closely around the motor mount areas, you can see all these supports are cracked. So one of the times that it cracked the motor supports here. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but there's also a crack here in this brace. And this is probably the worst motor mount area here. This one is cracked, all the pieces, even up into the threaded portion, and it's cracked on the back side as well. I was aware of some of this. You can see this cracking back through here. I'm not terribly concerned about this stuff. I think probably they put an excessive amount of reinforcement in to hold the engine in. But very likely I am going to, once I get the floor put in, I'm probably going to add a little bit of reinforcement along the insides of these and tie it into the floor. A quick update on my bed plate mold. I've added some of the colored epoxy or gel coat to these areas on each side. Just gotta wait for that to fully cure up and then I can sand it down. I've also added some in these spots here and there, and I put a couple patches on that corner. Anyway, I still need to add the other flange to this side before I can actually make a part. I got a package from Amazon, which was these little barbed fittings, which I kind of ordered accidentally. I ordered them for the vacuum chamber and then realized that I could actually use something else, but I have them. I also got my order from ADA Racing. So this is the, I think, 19mm coupler that will attach to my 650 drive shaft, which I've already shortened. And this is the coupler that is the same size as the 650 coupler and will thread onto the 1100 engine. So thanks to ADA for answering my questions. I asked them what ones that I needed for the conversion, and they emailed me back the links to the product. It was very easy. I have removed the cardboard from the back side of these cutouts, and I'm going to add some glass to them. I got this 1mm chop strand mat. I've got 2 pieces of that. And then I've got 4 pieces of this cloth for over the top of that. And I've also cut out some ribbons to go around the outside and kind of tie everything together. All right, I got this all laid up by hand, and I decided to put it in a vacuum storage bag. So what I did is I used a piece of the peel ply that I ordered a while back. I didn't have time to go and get the proper breather cloth, or I didn't know if I had time. So what I did is just put a couple layers of paper towel over the top of the release ply. And now I'm kind of warming it up a little bit with the heat gun. Anyway, I think I'm probably going to edit this video, all phone clips, and yeah, publish it for you guys so that you have something to watch, a little bit of an update on my channel. And while I'm editing, I can keep an eye on this. It is currently probably a little after 11. I'll check and come back. All right, so it's currently 12:30. So yeah, I don't know how much editing I'm going to do tonight. I've got quite a bit of work to do tomorrow, so I'm gonna warm this a little bit and pull some more vacuum on it and make sure that it stays good and airtight. All right, it is currently 1:24 a.m. The bag is losing a little bit of vacuum, but as you can see, it's pulled quite a bit of resin through the paper towel that I put in there. I'm gonna pump the air out of it one more time with a little hand pump thing. And then I'm gonna go in the house because it is late and I have a bunch of work to do tomorrow. So we'll unpack this tomorrow and see how it turned out. I have been having a bit of a snack and editing some video, and now it's time to unpack this. It did lose a little bit of vacuum overnight, but I think by the time it lost vacuum, it had already hardened up enough so that it will keep its shape, or has kept its shape. So I'm gonna set the phone down now and open this up and hope that it worked out well. I mean, this isn't a critical piece. The only reason why I'm really trying to vacuum bag here at all is to kind of gain a little bit of experience doing it and to test out to see what the peel ply looks like or works like. I've never done this before, so it's just kind of interesting to me. I'm going to throw this envelope away. I didn't tell you guys, but I did end up finding at least 3 leaks in it, or I found 1 leak that was already existing, and then I had 2 more leaks occur because of where these pins come through. All right, let's try to pull this stuff off and see how easily it comes off, or with how much difficulty, I guess. That's not good. Ow! My finger's still sore from my lathe incident. Let's try it from a different angle. All right, that's all of it except for one little tiny speck. Again, this was kind of just a test of the materials just to see how it worked. Pretty neat. So what that now means is that I have these centerpieces reinforced. So when I'm pulling the part out of the mold, I don't have to worry about these sections giving way. When I had the cardboard behind them, when I was pulling the bed plate out of the mold, potentially these pieces could have stuck to the mold and just got pulled out. Also, what could have potentially happened, because I'm going to be vacuum bagging this, these areas could have sunken in, or they could have actually collapsed, depending on how the bag went over the back side of this. It could have created an air void in here, which would have had low pressure, and that would have caused it to push down through this way. So it could have actually collapsed this and broke while I was pulling a vacuum on it, and that could have ruined my part. So it's just better off to have these nice and solid, and now I don't have to worry about that. I still have to do a few repairs and touch-ups on this, and I need to add this piece on the end, but that's gonna have to wait for a different video. I'll show you guys one last look at the bed plate mold so that you can see what I've done with it, where I've made it to. So I've added the other flange, or started to add the other flange on. So I put some plastic on the back side of the bed plate mold, and then I put some epoxy, some colored epoxy on the front side. I still need to remove the plastic and then put some fiberglass reinforcement on the back. And then I need to touch up a bunch of areas. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll actually have a fiberglass bed plate made. Very likely going to make a fiberglass one before I make a carbon fiber one, because I haven't been able to play with my new epoxy and I'm not sure how it's going to work. Still haven't decided if I'm going to do resin infusion or wet layup and then vacuum bag. Yeah, I'll figure that out as I go. Hopefully laying the fiberglass on the floor of the X2 goes well, and I don't have to make a video about how I ruined the floor and had to cut all that stuff out and start over. I am a little bit nervous about using this epoxy, but I do have a few things working to my advantage, and that is that the pot life on this epoxy is quite long. I think it's well over an hour, even when mixed up in fairly large batches. Being able to mix it up in fairly large batches is definitely going to help, because I'll be able to put a lot more material down a lot more quickly, and not having to worry about the material setting up as I'm using it is also going to be a huge advantage. The downside of this is that because the pot life is well over an hour, it's probably not going to be firm enough that I can walk away from it for probably 3 hours after I've actually laid all the material down. And that's not taking into account probably the 4 hours that it's going to take to actually put the material down. So it's going to be quite the process. I have made almost all of the large purchases that I need to make to get this project up and running. At least I hope I do. I'm sure there's probably something that I've overlooked. But I've got a ton of work ahead of me, but there's one thing that I still need to purchase that's going to be fairly substantial, and that is the impeller. Currently, I'm running a 16-degree impeller, straight 16, and although that was fine for the 650, it's not going to work out very well for the 1100, so I still need to get that. Partly what's been putting me off is that I actually have to call and talk to the guys at Impros. Not that they're bad people to talk to, but I just really don't like talking on the phone. I'm much more an email or a text person, so I'm going to have to take care of that at some point. I think that's going to do it for this video. I'm not sure when the next one's going to come out, but I will try to keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is Joel from the future. It is currently 20 after 2 in the afternoon the following day. And I just got out of bed because I was up till 5 a.m. doing the fiberglass work on this. I'm not going to show you guys that. You'll have to wait for the next video. But I think it went okay. It just took forever. Find out in the next video if it actually worked.